Hello, I'm Amy Zawi with the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for Wednesday, August 15th, Campus Update. Is free speech really an issue? I reported in July that one Hamza Daoud, a student at the Stanford University in California, was slated to be an RA this fall in the dormitories. An RA is a residence assistant who's in charge of both policing and mentoring new students to the campus and their life in the dorms. Now, this person had posted on Facebook that he would personally, physically beat up any Zionists. Then he changed that to intellectually fight, or something thereabouts. And then, of course, the backlash was that this person held an innate bias and discriminatory bent and should not be in charge of anybody. Of course, already declaring who he disagrees with and wants to fight about it with. Now, keep in mind that the college actually did not take any action that I am aware of regarding this student's position as RA after this post was made. But I'm happy to report that Hamza Daoud has stepped down from this position, and he did post on his Facebook page, "I apologize from the bottom of my heart to anyone who was triggered by it," it meaning his previous post. Now, I think it's interesting that he chose the word triggered, but we'll leave that to another story on another day. And I'm not sure if he had a sincere remorse or change of heart or just felt he needed to protect himself, but in any regard, the students win in the end. And we need to remember that freedom of speech is precious and that we shouldn't legislate against it. And at the same time, it's okay for a community to react to it, and they can either embrace or shun ideas and people's characteristics as they are exposed on social media and in other public forums. Many people actually confuse the legal right to free speech with that of the community's idea or rights to react to that free speech. If you were declaring that all Christians were crazy and misled and ludicrous, then you applied for a job at a Baptist church to be a front desk receptionist, you might actually not get that job. And that's okay. No one was banning your right to make those declarations, but other people were choosing to react to that character. Freedom of speech also means freedom to react to that speech. And communities and individuals can act on how they interpret the character espoused by people when they do express themselves publicly. Therefore, the community can shun it or embrace it, but I do not believe it should be legislated against. However, if it becomes violent and hostile and threatening, that is a different story. This is where the political correctness and progressive crowd seem to get misunderstanding. Censorship right now is blurring the lines between what is legal for a person to express and what is another person's legal right to express and react to it, and what can communities do to react to it. Barry Shah, an Israeli resident and advocate on social media for Zionist issues, is an author and publisher, and his work is often banned from Facebook, YouTube, and other outlets for allegedly engaging in what they define as hate speech. Other conservatives, as well as Christians, are often quieted down for expressing their beliefs on various social media platforms. Alex Jones, a conservative voice in U.S. politics, has had his podcasts banned from distribution hubs such as Apple. However, his podcasts are fully available on his own website as well as websites of his counterparts and colleagues. A private industry certainly should be able to choose what they distribute and what they do not distribute. A Christian bookstore, for example, might not want to sell Larry Flint or Hugh Hefner's books and magazines. A Jewish bookstore might not want to sell New Testaments and books about how Jesus is Messiah. But if and when a private organization also declares that it is an open distribution hub for all ideas and then carves out just a few political, philosophical, or theological ideas that it does not like, then that, of course, is an inconsistency in intellectual honesty. And let's not confuse the idea of political, theological, or philosophical thought that's open for debate with issues such as child porn, overt violence, other distasteful and exploitive literature and photographs. That, of course, has already been legislated as what is criminal and what is not. Keep in mind, it is traditionally the totalitarians, the Nazis, the socialists, and the communists who have been the ones to ban literature based on thought, based on ideas. My point here in this discussion that we normally have every week about BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction, activities against the state of Israel, Jewish people as a whole, and people who support them, is that the playing field that the BDS activists get is not balanced or challenged by an opposing view in an open sense of free speech. In fact, BDS is often violent and hostile rather than intellectually fueled, and organizations such as universities and colleges do not actually provide any guidance to identify this breach in what is free speech turning into criminal behavior. And then they do not hold BDS groups accountable for that breach when they might hold other groups accountable for a perceived breach between free speech and hostility. Communities can make a difference, though, through pressure and culture and more information, and that's what we need to do to keep the dialogue open to accomplish this. The debate is not to silence anyone, but to expose with more information and more speech. With that, logic and reason will guide the community and its reactions rather than legislation. Shavua Tov. Have a great week.